Patty Farmer is considered the expert on all music and entertainment aspects of Playboy.
I developed very early this love and appreciation of jazz and the Great American Songbook.
She says her love of jazz stemmed from borrowing her parents' records while growing up.
I was borrowing my mother's, don't hate me, but Barbra Streisand albums, when I was, very, very young, and loved Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett and all their jazz albums.
That long-standing love helped Patty pen Playboy Swings.
When I give talks or even talk to small groups of people, I always say, what's the first thing that pops into your mind when I mention the word Playboy? And of course, it's bunnies and centerfolds. But I always put forth that, while that is true, maybe the next thing should be music. Because up until this point, there's been no book devoted to the importance that Playboy played in advancing jazz music, but music in general and entertainment in general.
A look through the initial Playboy's table of contents says a lot about Hefner's vision of the magazine. Articles generalized as sports, food and drink attire, and a 2-page spread not listed as music.
It was jazz. And that's Hugh Hefner's commitment to the art form. Hef always loved jazz from the time he was a young man. Actually, in high school, he wrote for the high school paper under the pseudonym of Hef about jazz.
She says that while Hefner could have picked anybody to feature in a magazine with Marilyn Monroe on the cover, he picked the Dorsey brothers to feature in the first issue.
And it followed all the way through the magazine when he had the famous Playboy interviews in 1962 when they began. Again, he could have had anyone, and Playboy by that time had become so established that it was sophisticated and mainstream, and you had people that wanted to be in the magazine. So again, he could have had any politician or sports figure, and his first Playboy interview was Miles Davis.
For 3 years, Patty spent her time traveling the country, tracking down entertainers that worked for various Playboy clubs. Some were reluctant to speak with her, but oftentimes she was surprised by who would.
Sonny Rollins, people told me, good luck, girly, getting to Sonny Rollins. When I did talk to him, he was very appreciative of Hugh Hefner's efforts to not only integrate, but advance civil rights.
And Sonny Rollins wasn't the only one.
Dick Gregory, the famous comedian, credits Hef with breaking the color barrier. He has always said that from 1962 up until last year when he got his star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood. The first thing he said was, thank you, Hugh Hefner, for giving me the opportunity and breaking that color barrier.
Hefner was breaking ground in his Playboy clubs located in a pre-Civil Rights Act South.
Hef, I don't think, expected people not to have the same core beliefs that he did in civil rights and human rights, and as someone in my book said, gay rights and even women's rights and all rights. But they did operate under segregation, and they restricted black members from entering the club and did not hire black performers. So Hef, at a great cost to Playboy, bought those clubs back very quickly, as soon as he could. He pushed the envelope like he always did. He did it with his TV shows and definitely with the clubs.
Hello there. Glad you could join us this evening. I'm Hugh Hefner, editor-publisher of Playboy Magazine, and your host. And this is Playboy's Penthouse. Come on in and meet some of our guests. Well, here we have Eleanor Bradley and Miss Joyce Nazari, two of our most popular playmates, and Lenny Bruce, foremost exponent of sick humor and...
Oh! Isn't that sick? Yeah. Oh boy, the champagne is really making my nose bubbly, Uncle Hugh.
For almost 20 years, Playboy was the largest employer of entertainers in the world.
The first piano player in the New York Playboy Club was Monty Alexander. Carol Bon Jovi, she was a bunny in the New York Club, and, obviously a young wife and mother, And on occasion, her babysitter bailed, and she had to take her young son to work with her, and her fellow bunnies, kept him entertained. Did you know that Al Jarreau did not start out as Al Jarreau, but as part of a duo, Joan Rivers?
We're going to dish on the good and the bad, and of course, the ugly of Oscar night.
I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to talk to Joan before we lost her way too early. But she was part of a trio. Her group was called Jim, Jake, and Joan when they started out at the Playboy Club.
With so many more stories to tell, Patty Farmer's Playboy Swings legitimizes that old line. I just read it for the articles. For the WBGO Journal, I'm Hank Santos.